Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Anthony and today we are testing the brand new Kia Sorento. Now, I think Kia have hit the nail on the head with the styling here. It's absolutely gorgeous and it has sort of a confidence and swagger that the previous generation just didn't have. It's got that kind of Americana vibe and I really like it. Plus, in typical American fashion, it's rather vast and can fit 7 people. I hope everyone's been to the bathroom because I'm not stopping. So let's have a look at the boot. Today we have an electric tailgate. You press the button down here, not where you might expect up there, to reveal a boot. Would you believe? So we have 821 litres of space when the third row is down, and then you can actually drop the second row with the push of 2 buttons here and here. And it's good and lazy and they just drop automatically and it's ideal. The only thing is, if you press it again, it doesn't come back up. So the laziness is mitigated ever so slightly, but we're all right. There's some handy hooks and bits and pieces, 12-volt charger, a little extra space under here with the jack and another little piece of space here. The spare tire is underneath. And if you do pull the third row up, you do lose a lot of boot space and it's kind of super mini size, so like 187 litres, so keep that in mind. If you're loading up with 7 people and luggage, that might be a struggle, but how often you're doing that is questionable. It's a big boot, and with those back seats down, there's 2,000 litres of space, so just so much room for activities. Okay, let's get in the third row. So in the back. Now, I grew up with 3 siblings, so we had a 7-seater and it was a 2001 Opel Zafira. So I know the pain of sitting back here. And this isn't too bad. Like, obviously if you're an adult, it's not massively pleasant, but you could have a short journey easy enough. And there's actually high-tech stuff back here that was not in that Zafira. You have a USB charger here, and you can control your air conditioning too, which is nice. But the person on this side can control both sides, so that might cause ructions. I don't know. Getting in and out is pretty easy too. You press the button, pull the seat forward, and you climb in very dignifiedly. Yeah, it's okay. Short journeys for adults, and kids are fine back here. Yeah, kids would be fine, wouldn't they? So the second row of seats, well, this is much better, and I am very, very comfortable. I'm 6 foot and I'm sitting behind myself in my driving position and I have acres of space, vast back here for legroom. Headroom is a bit on the tighter side, but there's still plenty there, maybe, I don't know, an inch or 2. Some extra little touches include the cup holder up at the top. We've heated seats in the back here too, which is nice. Another bottle holder down here. There's 3 USB ports. One on the side of the driver's seat, one on the side of the passenger seat, one down here, and a 12-volt charger. 2 aircon vents too. A nice armrest with cup holders again. God, this is comfortable. You can do miles back here. Now, one strange feature maybe is that you can control the passenger seat via buttons on the side of it. So you can actually mess with the passenger when you're in the back. Okay, push, seat goes forward. Way forward. Wow, way forward. Keeps going, and then you can tilt it forward too. Yeah, so like, look at all that. Could be a chauffeur car with that kind of space. Passenger in the middle won't be too uncomfortable either because there is a flat floor down here. And sun blinds, even if Ireland is rarely sunny. Plus you have this panoramic sunroof that just runs the whole length, brings in nice light, and yeah, this is a nice place to be. The only thing I will say is maybe cream leather and kids, not a great mix, but I'm sure you can wipe it down. Now we are in the front of the Sorento. Everything feels like just really high quality. It's really luxurious and upmarket. Kia have come such a long way in 15 years. I remember my aunt had the 2006 model, and this feels like it's from a different planet altogether. I suppose it kind of is. Damn you, 2020. Urgh. We have some Lovely switchgear actually, feels good quality on the window switches. I do like the chunky door handle too. Kind of suits the tank-like nature of the car. Just really big and vast, just like the car. The steering wheel is nicely covered in leather and padded and a good size, and you can actually heat it too. If we do the cliche and trademark test for quality, oh yeah, not scratchy. No, not really, no, not scratchy. Good thunk, so obviously good quality. The aircon controls aren't particularly modern looking, but it functions well. To increase the volume of air, you press a touch screen. To increase the temperature, there's a little dial, and to change the direction, it's also on a touch screen. Doesn't look amazing, but it does the job. Now humor me here for 1 second. This centerpiece here, the silver design here, really reminds me of something from Star Wars. I can't quite place it. It's either a ship in this shape, or maybe like a docking station within a ship. I don't know, but every time I look at it, I just see Star Wars. Moving on. These leather seats are perforated too and two-tone, and they look rather nice. Moving down the center console, you have a nice cover here that lifts up. It's glossy black, so it gets fingerprints, which could be irritating. But underneath that, you have your 3 USB ports, and they're not great. They sort of look stuck on and maybe an afterthought. They don't blend in very well. They just look a bit old school and just stuck in there, but they do the job. Underneath that, there's wireless charging. Moving down, the gear selector is actually a rotary dial, and you have your 3 reverse, neutral, drive, park, and it's just twisted, easy. Drive mode selector down here, another wheel, heated steering wheel, auto hold for hill descent control, cameras, loads of technology. The armrest, there's a little spider. The armrest storage is vast as well, loads in there. You can cram in all sorts of crap. There's also this kind of cool scaly fish design here in front of the passenger seat, and it's also on the beside the handle on the doors as well. It's cool looking, and it lights up at night, and you can change that color depending on your mood. So mood lighting is what it's called, I believe. Right, moving on to infotainment, we've got some serious screenage going on here. Now, they don't connect up, but it does sort of feel like they do, if that makes sense. So the infotainment runs right across here, and there's sort of a design into the gauge cluster, and when you're sitting back and this wheel is kind of in the way, it really does look like they just run into each other, and it's very cool and very modern. So we'll start with a bit of madness. There's actually a feature on the infotainment for sounds of nature. So depending on your mood, you can have the sound of a forest, the sound of a fire, the sound of someone walking in snow. It's ridiculous, but brilliant at the same time. It might calm you down in traffic too, if you just want to hear a fire. Well, maybe not a fire, because you don't want your car to sound like it's on fire, but a rainforest, no way, maybe not. The icons are also very cool and have an 80s aesthetic in this kind of pink and blue neon. Look really cool too. You can also control things like the heated seats in the back, turn them on or off. You can control the height of that electric tailgate for shorter people who might be struggling to reach that button. There's also loads of driver assistance features that you can customize in the infotainment too. And when you change your driving modes down here on the dial, you get some really funky and cool animations on the gauge cluster here in front, and particularly the sport one has a very robotic, futuristic look. But the coolest of all might be when you pop the indicator on, you get a blind spot feed here in front of you. So you pop on your indicator and you get a feed of what the camera on the wing mirror sees in your blind spot. Really handy, really cool feature, and well thought out in a car that is pretty bloody long, and you know, seeing out is tricky. I was actually driving another car during the week, and I actually looked down to see the camera, but it didn't have that. There's Android Auto and Apple CarPlay if you want to go that way. Now today we are in the top of the line as it stands today, the K4 model. There's also a K3. So the K4 is about €55,000 and the K3 is €50,000, give or take. So K4 gives you the panoramic sunroof, 12 Bose speakers around, the electric tailgate. a 360 camera, which is handy because this car is a big old beast. The two-tone leather and that blind spot monitoring I was talking about earlier. I've found it hard to place the Sorento in kind of its competitors, because unless you really spec up a Kodiaq, like, and take all the options, it's cheaper than this, but you don't get as much kit, if that makes sense. Peugeot 5008 is kind of similar. I think the Santa Fe is basically the same thing as this. If you're looking at other premium stuff, it's kind of priced against the likes of a BMW X3 or an Audi Q5, which are in around that 50 grand mark. So it kind of floats in between those two areas of a highly spec'd mid-range car or a lower spec'd premium brand. See what I mean? I'm finding it hard to place it, but either way, it's a cool car, lots of tech, and looks really well, gives you loads of stuff, and it's really well built. Right, so behind the wheel of the brand new Sorento. Well, the first thing that has surprised me is that it's actually quite maneuverable, and around town and in tighter areas, it hasn't caused me a huge amount of grief. Despite its sizable dimensions, it is a fair old tank, but you know, I haven't felt like a big ogre. I felt more like the BFG, a big friendly giant. I really did think it would be trickier, but those cameras obviously do help, and that 360 view is a big bonus, that's for sure. Right, well, what are we dealing with on the engine front? Well, it's fairly straightforward at the minute. It's a 2.2 diesel, that's the only option currently available. And it's got about 200 brake horsepower, will do 0 to 100 kilometers in just over 9 seconds, which is actually pretty impressive for this big old brute. 0 to 60 in under 10, like 9 point something. It's great going. It's got a lot of pep. It is an old engine, but it has been reworked, and there's a fair bit of kick off it, and you really wouldn't be searching for more performance. Really good engine. That is paired to an 8-speed automatic gearbox with that rotary dial I was showing you earlier. It works away in the background without many issues. Like, the odd time you do feel it and you would know it's there. Sometimes it's a bit sluggish, but you really be picky to be given out about it. It's good for the most part, gets up through the gears, and when you accelerate, knows what you want. So according to Kia, the quoted fuel economy is 6.7 litres per 100 kilometres. We've been getting closer to 7.5, depending on your driving and your driving style. Now, coming down the tracks in 2021 will be a hybrid option, which is not surprising in this day and age, and that will have a 1.6 litre petrol and will be paired with obviously electric motors and whatnot. We should have details later on in the year, or maybe 21, and we'll probably have a review of that too. Now, the Sorento has proven itself very comfortable in most situations, but the suspension is maybe a bit stiffer than you might expect, which means it handles quite well in the corners. It has surprised me, but it's probably a bit stiffer than it really needed to be, because I think most people who buy this car won't really be that fussed by sporty suspension. But yeah, like I said, handles really well in the corners and deals with its weight surprisingly efficiently. Now, where it really excels was on motorway journeys. I had to do about 400 kilometers on the motorway this week, and this thing was the best partner you could ever have. You're nice and high, you can see around, visibility is excellent, but it has some technology to make your life even easier. We have smart cruise control and motorway driving assist is what they're called. Basically, it will keep the distance with the car in front of you, set the speed, and you just have to relax back. It'll actually keep you in your lane too, and you just have to settle in, relax, keep a grip on the steering wheel, because you're not allowed to let go. The technology hasn't reached those levels yet, but you do keep a light grip on the steering wheel, settle in, and it does so much of the work for you, and you kind of forget how much you do actually do that work when you have a car that doesn't have it. There's just tiny little inputs the whole time, but it really does make your life a hell of a lot easier. One thing I've not been a fan of is the brakes. It's not that they don't work, they work perfectly fine, it's just the feel on the pedal is not to my taste. It's kind of spongy at the start, and then once you get further on, it's obviously tougher. But I'm not a fan of that spongy feel at the start where you're kind of pressing and getting nowhere. I like a firmer brake pedal. So what's that diesel engine like? Is it loud and noisy? No. It's good once it's up and moving. So if you're in, I don't know, 7th or 8th gear and tipping along, you really wouldn't hear it. Under heavy acceleration or kind of load or that, yeah, you'll hear it, you know about it. But you're fairly well cosseted from it thanks to all these high quality materials. Now, as it's 2020, even massive diesel SUVs like this get driving modes. You have 4 to choose from: Comfort, Eco, Sport and Smart. They're all fine, and Sport does give the engine a bit more pep, but I think most people will spend their time in Comfort, which is fair enough, that's what this car is for. It will be interesting to see what the hybrid is like, and with this new VRT tax system here in Ireland, we'll see what pricing comes out of it. Could be interestingly priced. Really impressed with this car. Can't fault it too much. I suppose the only issue is that kind of badge snobbery that's in everyone, and whether people will spend 50k plus on a Kia is another story, but I wouldn't discount it if you're in the market for Kodiaqs, Q5s, Peugeot 5008, Hyundai Santa Fe. Give it a look, because it's a very impressive piece of kit. Right, that's our Sorento review. Please do give us a like and a comment if you enjoyed what you saw, and if you enjoy all our other videos, please do subscribe. It does help, and we're always very thankful for a subscription and a like. It's currency. If you'd like to search for a Sorento on Cars Ireland, please do click on the link above. We shall see you again next week, hopefully, and we'll be back with another review. Thanks for watching. See you then. Bye bye.